Good morning, traders. Welcome to Flow with the Markets Tuesday. It is 40 minutes into London Open, so let's see how Monday opened and let's see how Tuesday is going so far, so we can potentially try to forecast what could be happening for today and of course for the rest of the week. We have some very interesting developments on Monday. Monday opened very interestingly, and also Tuesday is going out as planned so far. So of course, we're gonna jump into the video right now. No transitions, no nothing. So just going pair after pair and flowing with the market. So if you're excited about it, let's jump into it. Alright, so again, in terms of news, in the weekly outlook and setups, I said that this is a very low volatility week. I mean by volatility, I mean there are not really any very big, huge news releases to really shake the markets. We do have a few, but again, nothing as important as like interest rates, CPIs, inflation, and stuff like this. So it's going good so far, and of course there are a couple of very important pointers to point out. So again, as you can see, the forecast was quite kind of on a big macro scale, either to have a massive dump lower and then to initiate a pullback, or to initiate a pullback and then to have the push down, which is pretty much what is currently playing out so far. However, what we see happening on Monday is the market open, it printed quite a couple of candles of pullback, then it broke lower with a wick, which definitely could be classified as a liquidity grab, and then currently the forward time frame shifted bullish. Okay, so we're having a short-term bullish move on the DXY, and if I just drop to the daily time frame, then of course you can see the daily. If I just move the PD range on the daily, actually, that is the daily high, that is the daily low. This is the next potential liquidity to take. The last one we took was right here, but that was with a very strong buy close, which suggests that long term, the DXY, well, again, I don't want to say should, but is very likely to head lower. So what I think is happening right now, you can see Monday, bullish day, Tuesday, not even a wick lower, just massively pumping up. So currently we are seeking imbalance. We're pulling back to fill in all that imbalance, because again, you can see here on NFP on Friday, we had this massive candle. Like, this is just pure empty space. So of course the market will immediately want to come back to rebalance this and then to potentially head lower. So what I think is happening right now is we started on Monday, we made the weekly low. Right now we're pulling back to potentially make the weekly high, and then maybe Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday we can continue to sell off. Or the second scenario will be for us to actually have a bullish week, because the week opened, it made a low, it pushed up, maybe tomorrow we pull back, maybe on Thursday we push up, and maybe on Friday we end up somewhere right there. Okay, we don't know, but again, my macro outlook is bearish. So I think that overall the DXY is gonna drop. However, is it going to be this week or is it going to be next week? We don't know so far. So currently, again, in terms of positioning, the market is just like filling in this empty space. So again, according to me, this is not really liquidity, and I do think it has either a lot of upside potential towards the 50%, where we actually have a couple of highs to take right there. We even have this supply zone, or the market is going to generate its own liquidity by making a couple of like fake trend changes and stuff like this. So what we saw this morning, which is something that I don't like, when I see a very trending Asian session and then on Frankfurt Open, the market just massively pumps up. And again, you can see this is not manipulative in nature, right? This is not a manipulation to go against it, but that's just like a bullish trend. And then of course you can see from London Open, the market spiked into that zone that caused the last structure break, reacted from it, and right now it's making new higher highs. So again, technically, I told my team in the morning, there are not really any clear setups that are exactly according to the rules. Some guys from the community jumped into like shorts on EU and shorts on GU right now, which are valid, but not 100%, as we're going to be seeing right now on EU and GU. But again, on the DXY, I would expect a little bit more upside. Like, we're just about to fill in 50% of the imbalance. But again, empty space like this is usually not liquidity. So the market can come in, maybe trend change again, chop around, and only then starts moving. Okay, so be aware of this. Overall bearish, but of course, in order to fuel a bigger bearish move, we need to take some liquidity, which can be all the way up there, or at least these flat highs right here. So right now, the bias is short-term longs, and also jumping onto Euro USD, exactly the same development. So again, as I said, we could expect a pullback and to head higher, but the market took out daily liquidity to the left, and what it did on the market open, it formed a valid forward higher low. And then this morning broke it. Well, no, it was actually yesterday that it broke it with a very nice body close. And right now we're just moving lower. Where are we going? Well, there it is. The fall imbalance and the 50%. Now, the range has to change because the fall is bearish. So I'm just going to use actually the bigger daily range. So there it is. So there is 50% on the daily. And there is, like I also said to a community member yesterday, the market is going to close bearish to potentially form this imbalance so that it can actually fill it on the next day. And this is exactly what is happening right now. However, once again, looking at Monday, very nice rejection. And right now looking at Tuesday, very nice bearish day. It looks like we're going to finish bearish looking at the day. And then maybe on Wednesday, we can go even lower. And then, of course, we're going to see on Thursday and Friday whether we're actually going to get steam to push up. So again, long term, the bias is bullish. However, right now we're in a pullback mode. And again, as you can see, the 4-hour time frame aligns bearish. And right now we're just pushing down, filling in all of that imbalance. And of course, the next area that the market could potentially stop will be this 4-hourly demand. Now, again, dropping onto the 50-minute time frame, I don't like this sort of setup. And personally, I didn't trade this because, again, in order for me to take a very high probability short, I want to see the market to first go to the upside, take out the Asian high, take some liquidity to the left, align, and then go. But what the market did this morning is it just on Frankfurt Open, even before Frankfurt Open, it just started rolling down, right? And then we, of course, had the pullback, which was retesting the most recent valid range, the most recent lower high. It was actually a 30-minute one. So if you just check the 30-minute, there is one bullish candle followed by a very nice bearish move. So it came in, tested, but then again, like from 30-minute zones, I don't trade on the 1 minute. So again, the 5-minute trend change occurred a little bit later. You could have taken it from here on the engulfing candle below. Or of course, you can drop to the 1 minute time frame, which did provide an entry. But again, according to me, it was slightly bit aggressive. So, and I also didn't like the setup because it was kind of low in the range. It didn't collect any liquidity to fuel a move lower. So for me, that was a skip. Right now, we are continuing to break lower. There we have a brand new 50-minute structure break. We have a brand new supply zone. But again, I'm not really going to be looking to short right now because New York can come in and collect like London high. It can collect some of the Asian highs and then maybe short if it's going to pull back even lower. But the lower we go and the more we start filling in that imbalance right there, well, the more the probability for going long increases. So again, I'm going to be probably skipping today because London is already done. So New York, I don't really trade Forex in New York. But we'll see how that goes. And eventually I would start expecting longs either tomorrow, on Thursday, or on Friday. So let's see how that works out. Of course, do not exclude the short possibility. Let's see. Sorry, got a little bit of an interruption. So yeah, that is pretty much EU. As I said, overall long bias, but again, we have to see how it's going to develop. And I would expect the longs to come a little bit later during the week, or also maybe even next week. So right now, as all the liquidity has been grabbed, like we took out the Asian low, we're breaking lower, we took out Friday's New York low. Again, like taking a short from here is not a high probability. So if you want to trade New York, wait for some sort of liquidity to be grabbed above these highs and then potentially try to short it. So that is EU, nothing on the radar so far. Have a look at the JPYs. Let's have a look. So yeah, this one, again, it pulled back on the foliage, 50%. It started running higher. So I either expected for it to flush lower to grab some liquidity and then go higher, or for it to just break higher and then, of course, see what is going to happen. So yeah, we just opened and we broke higher. So we have to adapt to everything. There is the brand new structure break to the upside. According to me, that is going to be our higher low formation. So that is going to be our 4-hourly range. But we currently have something funky going on. Yeah, you can classify this also as a... I don't like it. Yeah, I really don't like this kind of structure formation. So again, I'm going to stay more bullish in terms of this kind of range. But keep in mind, if the market actually closes below this low, that is going to be a short trend change. So then, of course, you can try to push the market a little bit lower. So that is how I'm going to look at EJ right now as we took out massive liquidity into the highs. Again, the daily time frame also broke. So that is not only a 4-hourly time frame, but also a daily break. So the daily low right now is from here to here. So we can be looking for that daily pullback, which also has this little daily imbalance right there as confluence. So this is potentially where we can be looking for the market to reach, which builds our macro bias beautifully. So what happened this morning is actually exactly what I want to see, right? Choppy day yesterday, Frankfurt opens, takes out the previous daily high, but then London opens, it takes out Frankfurt's high, aligns bearish, and that is a good short. Not like EU to just open and start pushing down, right? So that is a good short. But again, like if you manage to get in somehow, that was a good short according to me. Yeah, probably you could have entered somewhere from here. And right now, riding the market down, first target the Asian low. Okay, so first target Asian low. Now again, outlook is just bearish on this pair. I think first of all, we're gonna break this hourly zone, and then of course we can look for some sort of a pullback and another setup and continue shorting. Or if the market, like for example, right now just continues to short, then of course keep shorting with it. And from the daily time frame, we know that we could be driving to this 50% first of all, or we could be filling in this daily imbalance, which is resting exactly below Friday's Asian session low, which is also another very nice liquidity alignment right there. So that's AJ. Bearish bias right now. The short is already going. So if you can get any shorts, riding it towards the 50%, it's going to be very good. Aussie dollar. So on the Aussie dollar, I think we had some news. Yeah, interest rate decision, which were kept the same. And again, when you keep interest rates the same, usually that is bearish for the market. And again, as I told you, I would expect the market to pop up a little bit and then to potentially start pulling back. And as you can see, we popped up and we perfectly grabbed this liquidity that I showed you on the weekly outlook. And right now, just looking at the momentum, I do think this hourly range is not gonna hold. Just looking at it, how sharp it is. And then if we, of course, transition to the daily is trading between this low to this high. And on the daily time frame, we do have a little bit of imbalance right there. And in order for that imbalance to be filled, then the hourly time frame will have to shift. So I would say something like this, take out the low. And then, of course, if we start aligning bullish bias, only then we can go long. So right now with this massive bearish momentum, again, guys, personally, you don't want to be trading after interest rates. Because there is usually a lot of volatility and pretty much the average daily range is being met. So like this market already moved like 68 pips or even like 80 pips, which is pretty much the average of Aussie dollar. Like if you measure like a candle, there is 30 pips candle, there's like a 90 pips candle, there's like 70 pips candle. So this market does not move a lot. And like as this massively pushed down, it means that it might not have enough steam to push down. So this means that you can try to take some counter trend trades, because currently what we have is we have a 4-hourly demand zone, we have a 50-minute trend change, and we have a 50-minute demand, right? So you can be looking to take something like this. However, as I told you, why would you take a long trade after the very massive bearish reaction after the interest rates? So the bias is clearly bearish. I mean, not the bias, but the sentiment of the market. So this is definitely a trade that I wouldn't really take. But again, if you think in terms of probabilities, you can say, well, okay, let's give it a try. Let's see how it goes. So that would be a potential valid trade. But again, when it comes to the interest rates, I'm not going to trade, and I'm going to be waiting for today to pass and probably tune in tomorrow. And if tomorrow we actually did below the 50%, we take liquidity and we fill the imbalance, then what I'm going to be looking for, although the forward time frame is going to be bearish, I'm potentially going to be looking for bullish setups in London session or even in New York. So that is my Aussie dollar outlook. Let's see how it goes. AJ, yeah, probably you don't want to be trading AJ as well after the interest rates. So yeah, I was expecting a pullback and to head for the liquidity, but no, the market chopped around. Interest rates grabbed the high, and right now it's massively flushing. Well, exactly the same as Aussie dollar. Right now it's tapping inside this 4-hourly demand zone. But again, look at yesterday, complete chop. Today, interest rates, whoop, swept everybody. And right now it's going lower. So exactly on that day, you don't want to trade. So just wait for this day to pass, wait to see what's going to happen. And then of course, strike tomorrow. As I see this massive bearishness, I would also suspect that the hourly low can get taken. And then of course, if this gets taken, that changes a lot. But again, you are going to refer to the daily time frame, which is absolutely bullish. So from this daily low to this daily high, and you know that potentially there is some imbalance to fill. There is one exactly here, and there is another one exactly there. So those are your potential 2 targets for the market to reach out for. And as it reaches out at those targets, then of course you can start looking for a 4-hourly bullish alignment. And then of course the long bias on the daily can prevail. So again, let's see. For now, I'm gonna say short-term short bias, especially after they, I think the expectation was for the Royal Bank of Australia to hike the rates, but they kept them, which is immediately resulting in a very bearish devaluation. So again, short bias for now, wait for liquidity to be grabbed, wait for that daily pullback, and then look for longs. NZDs, of course, they want to follow up with the Aussies. And again, I was looking for a pullback and a continuation, but no, the market just decided to flush. And nothing really changes on this one. We just had like a little bit of a sweep right there on the previous weekly high, and the market just dumped. So right now it's about to tap inside of forward demand zone. But again, being influenced by the Aussie, this one also has like a very nice bearish bias right now. But again, you can see yesterday, London opened, took out the high, then aligned bearish. And then there is, for example, a short trade that is clear during New York. And right now it's just massively running lower, tapping inside this forward demand zone. So right now, if you think logically, it would make more sense to try to go long rather than short. Why? Well, because Asian session open, massively pushed down, tapping inside forward demand zone. The positioning is better for a long trade. However, we don't have any confluences yet. The market is making lower lows and lower highs. So maybe if we get a trend change, you can look for a quick long trade. However, looking at the overall sentiment of the Aussies and actually looking at how this week opened with massive bearish pressure, I would personally give it some time, and I would like to see a little bit of a slowdown inside the zone to really show me that there are some buyers entering the market. And then, of course, on the next day, you wait for London open, Asian liquidity grab, and then, of course, we can go for it. So that is how I would approach this day currently, although I'm not going to be trading it anymore because I usually trade Forex in London. Of course, that depends on the pair you trade. But again, let it play out a little bit and then show up tomorrow. Same with NJ. Like I was expecting a pullback and a continuation after this massive push. But no, again, the sentiment shifts and the market starts to pull back. The range is still the same, fairly low to fairly high. The daily range, of course, is going to be bigger with a lot of imbalance below. There is imbalance there, there is imbalance there. So again, is it going to get grabbed? Well, again, we don't know. So yes, as long as the market is traveling towards that demand zone, potentially you can look for shorts. Like again, you can see right now there is not a great correlation. Like the JPYs look a little bit short. So for example, you can see this one, it made a beautiful lower low right now, looking for a short zone. However, Asian low is taken. Imbalance is being filled to the left, tapping inside the demand zone to the left. So again, this short trade is very low probability. What I would personally look for is for these flat highs to be taken. And then if we get a bearish alignment from here, we can target the demand. So that is how I currently look at NJ. NU is already into demand zone, but again, looking at how bearish NJ is, doesn't give me a lot of confidence to be longing the Aussies and the NZDs at all. So again, give them some time, let them settle after the interest rates. And then, of course, we're going to see how they're going to continue. Let's have a look at this. UJ. Well, I was hoping for it to actually break lower, but it did not. The DXY is getting stronger. So this one tapped inside the daily demand, which is also the same as the hourly demand that started making its way up. So I'm currently not touching UJ. I mean, I've never touched it. I've never traded UJ, honestly. But again, just looking at it as the JPY for the DXY, but for the JPYs, right? Because whatever USD yen goes, that means like, is the yen strong or is the yen weak? So currently looks a little bit strong, but again, you can see like the JPYs, AJ, EJ, everything is kind of looking like it wants to flush. So again, there is a lot of lack of correlation, which I don't like. But again, in terms of the intraday, yesterday it opened, took out the high, but then it came and swept all of these lows. And then by the time it actually aligned bullish, which was here, market pushed, it pulled back. So the only entry I see is somewhere from here in New York session. But again, I wouldn't really look to take, no, I would look to take a long trade from demand. But again, I was maybe a little bit biased on Saturday that the market could actually go down because I was really like bearish on the DXY. But we can see again, guys, Monday opens, something completely different happens. So again, you have to be open-minded. And again, if I was closed-minded here and really ignore this kind of long, I would not take it. Okay, not that I did take it, but again, if I was looking just for shorts and looking for the market to get weak, then of course we're going to skip this long while the market was clearly showing you that it wants to go higher. So right now, again, a very shitty development. This is one of my least favorite developments during London. A very trending Asian range and then a very trending London session. Because again, the higher it goes, the lower the probability gets. So again, I usually do not trade these. And again, you can see your last demand zone was this. It got swept, of course. And right now it might actually start to continue going higher. But personally, I'm not touching this one. Not a great positioning, not a clear buy as well. The bias is overall bullish, let's say. But again, is it going to reach for the actual target up there? Well, let's see. It looks very corrective so far. So watch it closely. Watch the DXY closely as well. GU. So GU, very interesting development. Yesterday, it just came in straight for the target without actually first pulling back, which is still fine. Because right now, the bias shifted to bearish. Like we came in, we made, first of all, a hourly breaker structure. And right now we're making a hourly trend change lower. The market very nicely made that weekly high. So to start with, I have two weekly scenarios. The first one is to have a bearish week. So we opened, we pushed down, we pushed up on the weekly. And right now we're just going to distribute lower and then maybe close here. Okay. The second scenario is that, okay, Monday took liquidity, but then right now Tuesday is forming the weekly low. And then potentially Wednesday and Thursday and Friday could take the market higher. So those are my two scenarios, either a bullish week or of course a bearish week that closes like somewhere around here. So that is what I would forecast for now, because again, you can see on the daily time frame, we're rather bullish from this low to this high. So of course the market right now wants to fill all that imbalance. But again, will it actually fill it and turn bullish and go bullish this week? I don't think so. To me, it makes more logic for this week to be bearish and then next week to maybe get into the long train. So right now, this morning, again, a setup that I just don't like. Yesterday, there was a short trade during New York, a little bit late, 6 o'clock my time. But yeah, yesterday, again, it opened bullish, reacted. This was not a trend change. I was looking for shorts at that time, but that was not a valid trend change. Then it rushed, it took out the liquidity, it rushed again, and then it aligned bearish, lower high, lower low, and then there is the short trade right now running beautifully. I had a lot of members take this short a little bit late during the day. And what is it doing right now? Well, it's filling in all the imbalance and traveling towards the daily 50%. So again, this morning, there was a setup, but I did not take it because I don't like those setups. This is a 30-minute zone. Right, a 30-minute zone, the market came inside, but again, you can see the market just started rolling down. London opens and it's gonna throw you the manipulation. There it is. And of course, there's the trend change. So I had community members enter like this, right? And we actually shouted this trade, currently running nicely in profit. But again, I did not take it. It's not my trade. I don't like this trade. Of course, the expectation was to go down, but I would much prefer to get a much better positioning because again, the reflections that I've been making, I'm adding a lot of liquidity on my arsenal as well. So again, this trade did not make sense to me because I would have loved to maybe come in and take some of these highs during Asia. And then if I was got on a short, then I can definitely go for it. But again, in hindsight, I was entering this trade and to the low was just like 1 hour. So it didn't make sense. But of course, if you start targeting right now the imbalance and everything that is below, it turns out to be a great trade. And a lot of my community members are inside this trade. So right now, as it goes lower, the probability for it to go even lower decreases because right now you have, for example, this supply. So you might try to short from this supply. But again, as the market is already filling imbalance and going lower and taking the Asian low and taking this low and taking Friday's New York low, a lot of liquidity is collected. So again, be careful during New York because usually New York is going to like throw you a sharp spike into the highs. And then maybe if the bias continues to be bearish, it is going to continue. I personally, once again, don't like New York because New York is a little bit tricky. It throws a big manipulation and then it kind of gets a little bit random. While in London setup, there are very clear and predictable setups on Forex. But again, you just have to wait for it to develop. Like for example, today I was looking for an Asian high breakout, not an Asian low breakout. So again, this short, I missed it, but not a problem for me. So again, what I expect on the GUIs, again, to recap, I would expect for the market to pull back lower to fill in that imbalance. Then, of course, from here, we are going to see whether we're going to continue going long or whether we're going to close the week bearish. And then next week, we can start pushing. So overall, on the macro side, I'm bullish, but this week could be bearish. So again, don't close your eyes for taking shorts. GJ also like started the week. It took out the liquidity that we had marked. And right now it's rejecting. And again, on the 40 range, it's also super bullish. That is the daily range. Again, a lot of imbalance to fill. There it is, a lot of imbalance to fill. The 50% of this imbalance is exactly at the 50% on the PD range. And yes, like again, the JPYs in that case provided a much better setup. Like this is what I wanted to see on GU. Consolidation, take out the Asian high during London, and then of course start rolling down. In this case, if you like play the 5-minute, like yeah, it really depends on which 5-minute trend change you take right there, but you can enter from anywhere inside these zones right there. And then of course you target the Asian low or even lower. So that is a good setup. Again, in terms of analysis, I mean, right now this is the high, but right now the market is just making a new lower low. That is valid actually. So that turns to be another lower high. But again, the lower it gets, I'm not going to be taking it because I want to be taking it from here after liquidity is grabbed, targeting the opposite side, which is Asian low and these lows to the left. So right now the market is going to start tackling these lows. And as it tackles these lows, then of course in New York session, the market is going to pop up to the upside, maybe to come back towards this zone and then to potentially continue going lower. You can see we have beautiful Friday Asian session lower. That's Monday. Yeah, that's actually Monday. This is Monday's Asian session low to be targeted as amazing liquidity. So yes, I think overall we're going to be going bearish as of right now on GJ and GU. Again, the question is how do we get in? Today, beautiful short on both pairs. So let's see how tomorrow and the next days are going to go. And again, keep in mind, we can reverse bullish because overall on the daily we're bullish, but we can also close the week bearish as a pullback. GOAT, let's see what's going on with GOAT. Okay, so yeah, DXY getting some bullish steam and this one immediately shifting lower. It's currently tapping again inside that daily zone. Yeah, so that's the range. But you can see on the daily, there is absolutely no imbalance. It very nicely broke with a body, but there is no imbalance on the way up. So yes, right now it's tapping inside the demand zone, but let's see if it's going to hold or if it's going to pull back to fill in like imbalances like this below. So let's see, the week so far looks very bearish. And even if you look at it on the weekly, massive push. So again, I really do think this week might end up as a bearish week. Now, like on EU, GU, GOAT, pairs like this. So dropping all the way, well, let me first have a look at the FOH. So yeah, the FOH yesterday it pushed up. That's on Friday actually. So yesterday opened, pulled back, and then it just drops lower. So the trend change looks like it's here. That's the 4-hourly trend change, and that is our 4-hourly supply zone. The market is right now tapping inside the daily demand zone, but again, you can't do much inside here because the 4-hourly time frame just pushed massively down. So yeah, right now, I mean, during Asia, yesterday, no trades on gold. Like again, Asian session, it stayed in Asia for the whole session all the way until like late New York, took it out, and then it continued going lower. And right now, like this price action is just like rolling down. You can definitely find setups within right there, but again, are they high probability? Probably not. For me personally, there's always ways to enter. So right now, if you want to go short, not a good idea because Asian low is taken. We're tapping inside the daily demand zone. We're taking liquidity to the left. So I would expect some sort of a bullish alignment, maybe to take some liquidity at the top. And then, of course, if we're aligned bearish, we can continue following it down. So that is my scenario on GOAT. Again, I don't trade GOAT, so don't listen to me way too much. But yeah, this is what I'm going to be looking for. Indices, I'm just going to be skip on the indices because nothing makes sense right there. We're just chopping at that high. And again, if you look closely, like there was a little 4-hourly break up. And then, of course, you can take a 4-hourly break down. And then we can draw the demand zone. So it kind of looks like it wants to shift down because we're super bullish on the daily. And I would expect like today to be a bearish day. And then, of course, for us to start pulling back a little bit. It kind of after NFP, maybe the market is going to shift sentiment. Who knows? Like after NFP, I said, well, we're super bullish, Euro long, Geo long, indices long. Well, maybe they won't go long. Again, keep an open mind. But then, of course, if I drop to the 30-minute and the 50-minute, I'm not going to be trading this stuff right there. I mean, yesterday, like faked the high, then it made a 50-minute trend change, then it pulled back. So you can be looking for a short trade right there. But again, if you want to place a safe stop loss above here, it's very big. Breaks lower, pulls back, lower high. Right now, it's most likely going to be breaking this low. I am not going to be trading indices right now. Like NASDAQ, you can see my scenarios haven't really played out. The upside liquidity is not taken. No pullback is initiated. And what we're having is just nonsense right now. So after having this massive, I just remove some of these stuff. After having this massive push, the market is just chopping around at the top right now, and you can see like there is, once again, if you zoom in, we have like this little break up and then we have this breakdown. So technically it kind of aligned bearish, but both are wicks. This is just trickery right there. It's fuckery, as we like to call it. So again, don't get messed up inside these kind kind of trades, right? It looks like a head and shoulders, like no. Again, guys, I'm just gonna skip indices because they're all awful. So there is SPX as well, like pushed, and right now it's chopping around for just 1 day. It's still Monday, so again, I'm just looking for something clear, like either initiate a bearish pullback or either like take out the high and then reverse, or just make a trend or something. So again, don't trade when it's not clear. Bitcoin also chopping around at the 35, they're even 36 handle. So yes, that is for today pretty much. Again, guys, you have to keep an open mind because we can have a bullish week on the DXY, which means like a pullback week of the overall move, which means that we can have a bearish week on the EU. Pretty much this week's objective could be to fill in the imbalance, and then next week we can have news to actually push the market up. So again, you can see all the pairs right now are on this sort of pullback mode. So again, be careful with the longs. All right, again, as I told you on Aussie dollar, why would you go long when the sentiment is bearish? And yeah, just wait for a proper setup. Again, don't trade something that doesn't make sense and that doesn't have a good positioning. For example, again, as I said, like the GeoTrade short that I skipped this morning, again, it went very good, but again, not my setup. Played out, but not my setup. So wait for something clear. And again, the highlight so far is for us to fill imbalance, like forward imbalance, daily imbalance. Wait for that to get filled. It could take a whole week. And then, of course, next week we can be looking for longs. So again, stay patient, follow the plan, go with the flow, and wishing you a very successful week. If you have any questions, let me know and talk to you on Saturday.